my desire, my mission is to change the way we do business, to stop doing everything very transactional. And by saying that, I'm not saying we don't need to make business. We do need to make business, but it's how we show up and how we do everything, how we connect with each other and how we actually show up. My invitation, let's help each other. Let's help the small entrepreneurs. Let's do business with small people that are driven by the same values and want to have the same social impact. Let's not do it just for the sake of having more money.
Okay, wonderful people, wonderful audience. Welcome back to Making Waves, this series of conversation with inspiring entrepreneurs, inspiring females, talking about different topics. And today we're going to talk about values. And my beautiful guest is Veronica. Veronica is a community builder. Trust me when I say it that she is. Marketer and the visionary founder of Base Conference, Marketing Accelerator, Spin Ideas, and a sustainable marketing agency. Have you never been on any of those events, either Spin Ideas or the Base Conference? That's what you need to try. Veronica helps entrepreneurs find visibility strategies that feels aligned, not forced. Branding that doesn't look just good, but it feels good. And what makes Veronica different? Well, she does not teach people how to perform. She teaches them how to return to the truth and lead from it. So welcome, Veronica.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for the lovely words. So happy to be here.
Wonderful. We already had that conversation when we talked about your business, but today we're going to talk through your lenses on the values. And when I did your welcoming bio, is there anything that I haven't said and you would like our audience to know about you?
Maybe a little bit about my audacious goal. And this is actually what I do with Base. And my invitation with Base and my desire, my mission is to change the way we do business, to stop doing everything very transactional. And by saying that, I'm not saying we don't need to make business. We do need to make business, but it's how we show up and how we do everything, how we connect with each other and how we actually show up and contact that. So what I do with Base, with the events and also with the community, and also with Spin actually, because Spin, it's Base is part of Spin. They are together. They are not one without the other. Is my invitation. Let's help each other. Let's help the small entrepreneurs. Let's do business with small people that are driven by the same values and want to have the same social impact. Let's not do it just for the sake of having more money. So instead of just doing, allocating all our budgets for big corporates that anyways, they have all the advantages. How about we are helping a fellow entrepreneur? How about we are actually helping companies that are doing something good, that they have a social impact, that they are looking to how their product, service, and what they are doing is impacting their neighbors, the society, the ecosystem, the environment, and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Like when you were saying that, I just had a picture in front of me. It's like connecting dots, connecting people, connecting businesses, and creating as that sustainable environment for people and their businesses to thrive.
Yeah, and connecting dots, it's an expression I use quite often because I do consider myself a connector. And it's very hard to say I'm just connecting people because that will not be true. I love connections, and that's how my brain is wired. That makes me happy. That's my superpower, actually, just to see the connections. And could be an idea in a person, or can be a location and an idea in a person. Could be a mix of all of these. But that's actually how everything is connected, right? Like, let's create this web. And you
Yes,
know,
yes.
Spin Ideas, the company, spin in Dutch means spider. Oh my God.
Perfect connection, right? It's a perfect
And I
explanation.
have to say it wasn't premeditated. I will have to say that I was as clever as that. But no, it just sometimes universe is working in mysterious ways. Huh?
Absolutely, it really does, and I love that what you just explained, and I love that kind of web of those connections, connection people, ideas, businesses, and really making each other better humans, better in our businesses. And I know as it's in core in our lives, and it's also in core in the businesses. Those values are crucial because I think that it's what kind of I would say we start. It's our guide those values. And I want to ask you. I'm gonna go like just let's dive in. I
Let's
wanted
go.
to ask you when you can share with us when actually you knew you kind of compromised your values in a business.
Ooh, that's a hard one. um, let's name it. We're all gonna do it at a specific point. And I think what we need to, my goal is to acknowledge, to see, to recognize it as quickly as possible and to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting better and better at not doing it and taking the space for it. I think what comes to my mind will be was ages ago. So I started my company in 2017. I think 2 or 3 years, 2 years down the road after I launched it, I got in touch with a meetup group, and they were organizing events, very successful events in Amsterdam. And that was, oh, that's quite good. And they were looking for someone to take over, not necessarily or also to organize them, but the promotion and marketing around it. And it's very important to mention when that happened, because at that point, let's be honest, in the first couple of years of your activity, things were going to be good and then will be a little bit lower. And then, right, it's a roller coaster. And when I was talking with this organization, I was in one of those down moments. So I was like, I just need a new client. I need one new client to just help me, right? To pay my bills and move forward. And we start negotiating and we start discussing, and things kept on changing. And for me, that's the first time, like, something is not okay here. If we agree upon something and we discuss something and you keep on coming on what we negotiated, including in the moment we need to sign the contract, that's a preview of how our relationship will gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And that means you're not someone that stays true to your words. So you're not respecting your values. You are just, or you're not clear on them from the beginning, because if this is what you want, that's very good. But if you keep on doing that, that tells me something about you and how you show up and how a business relationship will be if we move forward. And was one of the hardest decisions I had to make, because I had the contract signed from their side. So, well, the only thing that I had to do was me signing it.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't such a big amount, but was not bad either. I don't have,
Mm-hmm.
but I had said to no. I had said no to it, and that was showing up according to my values. Because I
Mm-hmm.
would have been unhappy. I wouldn't have worked how I liked it. Would have been everything driven by profit instead of
Mm-hmm.
what's the impact we want to have. And we were discussing about organizing events for communities, about the social aspect. So if you are doing something like that, but you keep on changing how you want to show up, that tells a story.
Mm-hmm. But I think that in order to even kind of notice this, right, to recognize what's going on, you need to know those values, right? You
Yes.
need to be aware are those, because I think of values like the silent drivers of our decisions, right? And if we are aware of that, they are not so silent. We are choosing them consciously. And I think that there is also, I see it through the work that I do with my clients, that quite often, and also with myself in the business, that values are usually the first one to abandon under the pressure, right? When we are pressuring, as you said, okay, I need money, so I'm just gonna sign whatever because I need that, right? Because it's a survival, because it's a client I dreamed about. We we do have the tendency to drop that in that moments of the pressure. And I also see it with my clients, those high achievers who are compromising their values for approvals, and there where actually it's a slippery road.
It is. It is. So, what comes to my mind hearing this is definitely we need to compromise. But what do you understand by compromise? Because compromise, by definition, will be I need to give something that is important to me up to make it work. Whereas I see it slightly different. I don't need to give something up, but we need to have a conversation to see where can we land that with both sides feel comfortable and they don't feel that they had to give something up. And that's actually how I apply it also in the marketing strategy, because you mentioned the marketing accelerator. That's the invitation is you don't need to, you can't do everything. That's a given. No one can do everything. We are not we don't need to be superhuman. Like, why would you want that? But the idea is, what do you really want in order to get the clients? So that will be the compromise. Like, what it's not even a compromise, it's a choice. What are you good at? What feels good for you? And of course, there will be specific parts that maybe you don't enjoy so much, but how can you make them enjoyable? That's the whole secret in my perspective.
So I'm just wondering, would you be able to describe to our audience what the kind of marketing, according to the values of the business owner, looks like, and how it looks like when the values are not present? So people can already see, like, oh, where am I? On which side am I?
That's a good challenge. I never thought about it like that. But thank you. Let's see how we start, because I always focus on talking about the values, but not really making this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Funny enough, like this week I had so marketing accelerator. There are 7 weeks, and then it's a pause, and then we meet to check in. And this week, a couple of days ago, I met with was the check in from the last cohort I ran. And I will share first what it is to start creating based on values. And I'm going to use them because it's fresh in my mind. Just happened. So my question when we finished was like, what is what you took out of this? And the words that everyone echoed were focus, clarity, and action. And I think those will be the words that will describe, because focus, that's the most important. Action probably you'll see in both of them. But what is action without a direction and a focus? And everyone is guilty of that, including me sometimes. We're going to start doing different things, especially when we are bombarded by new technology, a new bot, or a new AI agent, a new whatever event. And you want to try them. And I'm not saying not to try them, but do they make sense for you? Do they fit you? So it's one thing to be curious about them, and one thing to take them on board and make them yours immediately, without really spending a little bit of time and wondering, does it actually make sense for me and my business to do that? Whereas when you are very clear, values is basically who you are, right? So how we define values when it comes to company and company marketing strategy are your guidelines, is how do I show up? What are my non-negotiables? Who do I want to invite to work in my company with me, as well as the clients I want to have. Because if we are not able to have a proper conversation and to have the same understanding of the terms that we are using, then confusion arises, right? And then we are not having the same conversation anymore. And then we are not matching, and the results will not be the right ones. And then chaos will be created, and the clients will be unhappy. You'll be frustrated. And what's the point of that?
Mm-hmm.
Because even if you get a client, and to come back to my example that I shared, I realized I will have actually taken the client, but I will have been unhappy. Then the results will have been lower because the expectations will have been different. And then that will long term actually damage my reputation because I wouldn't have delivered. So, showing up according to your values is basically, how do you want to work? How do you want to be seen? And to communicate that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you are automatically attracting people that resonate with the same values, principles, mission, however you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a more organic way of doing. That being said, that doesn't exclude you need to have a good product. You need to show what you're doing. And so it's not only about values, but we are talking here about this part. Like, how do we prepare everything? What's the base we want to start with?
Yeah. So it is really about the discovering process, because you need to know your value. You need values overall. So you need to discover, you need to have that self-awareness, like, okay, this is what I'm standing for, and then translate it and claim it in the process also of marketing in your business. So to
Yes.
avoid the chaos, unhappy clients, confused clients.
And confusion in you. But it's also how you create everything. Because for me, my values are on my website, but they're also translated in everything that I do. Like, for example, I believe in abundancy. So that means, and I believe in collaboration instead of competition. So that means I'm actually bringing marketeers on board when I have different projects. And I'm not one that knows everything, and I'm not claiming that. So that means I need to bring the right experts for each project that I'm running. And that is translated in my values. The same value, you see it also in the events that I'm running, because it's about putting people together, about providing a different perspective than the normal way you are doing it, about the curiosity to go and explore what's out there and to try different things. So it's not only just to say them, just to state your values, but it's also a filter if you want. And it's a way, a tool as well, to create everything.
Mm-hmm. So it's like I would, because I'm trying to bring a little bit of a correlation to how I work with my clients, because like it is like when they discover their values, then navigating the career, it's way easier because you know what you're not going to accept. You have your non-negotiable. So it's like, okay, this is for me untouchable, and this is what I want to more of in my life, and this is how it's going to manifest. So then it's and the word that was just spinning in my head when you were talking about it, it is about that for me, from my perspective, flow, because things are easier from that place of, okay, I know my values, I claim them, I have a focus to use them, so things are getting easier to be done.
That's so lovely said. Yes, that's a flow, exactly. And I'm actually happy you're making this comparison, because it makes perfect sense to me. And I'm always giving this example when I'm talking about values, and that's the first segment in my methodology. And I like to say, like, imagine, I do see this a little bit like therapy, because if you're not clear on exactly, like you said, what you are doing with your clients, who you are, what are my non-negotiable, what do I need in order to thrive? Like, I'm going to quote you here, my boundaries, right? My non-negotiables. How do you expect others to know? It's exactly the same thing, but it's a different, it's not personal, it's business. But a lot of the things that are there apply here as well.
Absolutely. So I'm going to make a statement a little bit here, like estimated guess. So people who are working with you, this is how their business looks like after working with you, right? So this is kind of aftermath. So they know, they claim it, there's a focus, there's that flow of marketing. So attracting the right audience, attracting the right clients, and kind of everything is compound. So there is a one message, right, from them to the world. So I'm curious because I'm going back to that question I've asked. So when they come to you and they don't have that set of values injected in their business and their marketing, how that this business looks like when there's no values in it?
Um, I'm gonna, two things come to my mind. I'm gonna answer your question, but the first one, I strongly believe all of us have our own values because this is how we run as humans, right? We need that. We need the belief. We need something that motivates us because otherwise, what's the point of living, right? And we do live in a world that, especially in West Europe, life is easier. So we afford to have this type of issues now. Some of us, though, are not aware of that. So that being said, values, we all have them, but some of us are more aware or they bring them up, either because they work with coaches like yourself, or maybe they did inner work, or there are several ways to, I'm not the expert, you'll be the expert to know how to come to your values as a person. So there are several ways to come to yours, to realize what your values are. But not all of us are aware of them. And then you have some people don't realize you apply them to your work as well. So when you think about business, you start, I just need to make money. Or I do work with a lot of impact-driven entrepreneurs. So I just want to have a social impact. Money, by running a business, the profitability part is included. Like one, you can't exist without the other. Otherwise, even NGOs require funding. So you'll do volunteer work otherwise. But what people don't stay and think like, how do I want to show up? They have like why they are doing it, what they want. But how, this is the how I do it. How do I show up? And when I say how, I'm still talking about you as a company, as a brand. I'm not talking in terms of tactics yet. But by defining how do I want to show up, you actually automatically define the tactics. Because if you know you're very good at speaking, maybe run videos, record videos and publish videos, run events, go and speak at different things. So by identifying those values and what is important to you and how you want to show up, you identify also the tactics and tactics that actually fit you. Because otherwise you'll keep on what I said, you do different things just because they are the latest trends, but they are not necessarily fitting you. So instead of doing something that doesn't really represent you because it's just not you and will produce exactly like the example, the opposite of the desire, the results you want, better do less, but do what actually comes natural to you.
Okay. So when you don't have it, because I agree that we all have those values, many of us are not aware of them, right? And I'm curious, what is your process for helping people to get clear on their values? Not maybe the one that they think they should have, right? Because sometimes we just like draw or throw some words like, oh, this is my value. But for example, when I talk with my clients, so I ask them about when I ask them, oh, what are your values? Many of them just like, I don't know. I really don't know. And they have it. But asking the different type of questions. So, what gives you the most peace, right? Where do you feel the tightness? What is the best and the lowest experience in life? Or what is like, walk me through the process of the latest very important decision for you. And then the values are just really showing up. And just like then the next part is just to name them and show it, hey, this is what it's coming, what it's showing up. And then it's easier for them to claim it. So I'm wondering if there is any tactics or process that you're using when you're working with the business owners to help them to find those values.
It depends a little bit if we do it online and in the group or offline. When it's face to face, that's a friend of mine, Evelyn, created a beautiful deck of cards with values and a short book that you can do. And I think you know it from the base conference from last year. So that will be a great way where different values are named, and you just go through them and see what resonates with you. It's a little bit like what you just shared. So sometimes people, even if they have them, they are not able to name it. And that's a good prompt to do that. What I like to do in my presentations is to split people in groups of two and to invite them to tell a story that is representative for them, that shows a value or something that's important for them. And the other person listening needs to name the value they heard. And I like this one because sometimes maybe in your head is a specific value and that actually happened, but what is out there, it's a different one. And that's a good exercise to see, am I actually showing up or am I aware of them? And it's very interesting because I was invited a couple of weeks ago to give a talk for a startup grind in Rotterdam, and the majority of the audience, they were students. And they were blocked. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And some of them have or work in a startup. Some of them they consider, some they were interested in the topic. But when you ask them to think about values, no one is actually teaching you that. We are still living in a very material world, and that's I'm not negating that, but we can show up differently. So it's by actually inviting them to communicate, to share stories, that we realize what is important. And was one of the someone that followed the accelerator. She's very successful and everything is good. And now it's even better. But she realized that actually she doesn't want to grow more. She's very happy, but she wants to show up differently. So that doesn't mean your business is not going well, but one of the values is I want to work more with clients and have a higher impact there, not to earn more money. And that's totally fine as long as you realize it. And then you stop being frustrated and you put your energy in a different place. And then you know what to concentrate on. What do you want to do? How do you want to spend your day, basically? Do you want to do more client acquisition or marketing or meeting clients or whatever it is?
Yes. And I think that it's a beautiful example of us conforming to that external expectation to grow, to expand, to constantly go bigger, wider, wilder, louder, right? So, and if the values are like, okay, no, I'm absolutely fine where I am and I want to stabilize it. I'm comfortable and this is mine. Oh, this is beautiful moments when you just like, okay, there is nothing more to prove. I'm okay, I'm in the right place and I'm leading from that. I'm leading myself and I'm leading my business from it. And I think that it's a very freeing realization.
You said something there. There's nothing to prove. And I find that very interesting. And another thing that I'm asking all my clients to do is set up goals. Because it's basically, what do you need to prove? It's very artificial, right? Like, how do you quantify that? So, especially in marketing, like, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve in the next year? And then you know how to set everything. And then the barometer, like how do you report everything that you do? How do you know that you succeeded? How do you measure results? Will be something that you decide. And you change the conversation. You take ownership for it. You're not letting others dictate.
Yeah.
Because what does a successful business means? Maybe for me something, for you is something else, and for the third and fourth party that are listening now, is that something totally different. And the beauty of it is we all are right.
Yeah.
It's very, very personal.
It is. Yes, and I truly believe in it, and I'm 100% for that. Yet I still see a lot of that kind of standardization even of what the success means, right? And we kind of conform to that version created by someone somewhere, and it's, oh, you're successful, and we all have that kind of image in our head. But I think that a lot of people, and I also see it with my clients and also starting with myself for a very long time, I didn't know what my version of success looked like. And it took me a moment through the work that I've done to realize what my version of success is. And it's a little bit different than the standard one. And now when I think about in terms, am I successful or not, I'm talking through that place of my version of success.
I think we all should do that because we have different values, we have different experiences, different objectives. Of course, it will be different. Maybe success for someone will be to have $1 million revenues. For someone will be to have a steady income and spend more time with the kids and travel the world. And both of them are success. And people are happy and showing up how they want to. So I don't think we can standardize success. And that brings me a question that I always fear. Who inspires you, or who's your mentor, or who is the person you want to be? And that makes me stop because I can't answer that. Everyone inspires me. I'm learning something new from everyone. But no one is where I want to be because I'm defining that every single day. And what I want this year may be totally different from what I will want next year. And what I want this year is totally different from last year or 2 years or 5 years ago. So I know also with spin ideas, like what I want for the company, it keeps on changing. The values are the same. But depending on my personal life, where I am, what is happening, of course you're going to change. And this is why goals should not be forever. You do need to change them, and we make them like 5 years or for 1 year. And I'm a big fan, like, let's work with 1 year goals. Like, you have a vision, you do know, like with base, I know exactly what I want, what's my ultimate mission. But that's different from the goals.
Yes, absolutely. But it really comes back to that formula that I created. It's like it's lead, grow, inspire. So it's lead when okay, how do I lead myself? Finding who I am. So finding my values. What drives me? What is my vision? Who am I in all of that? Right? That's the first step for conscious life. Then you have grow when it's like, okay, now I know who I am, so let's create a strategy to amplify who I am, to create the process to communicate it to the world, to manifest it in my business. And then the inspire, it is about, okay, now I'm actually embodying it, all of it, and I'm inspiring others to do the same. And I'm making that impact. And for me, it's going from that performance to impact. So I'm not doing it to perform, to have a score, to have a reach the goal. Yeah,
Tick a box.
tick the box, and so on. It's about the impact I'm making with who I am, with my business, and how I run that business.
Yes, exactly. You show up differently, and then everyone can have different values and different missions and we should have that, and different definition of success.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to kind of wrap it up with some 3 questions to you. to talking about the inspiration, that it might be an inspiration for others. So, and talking about still value. So, the value that you had to fight for, or you do have to fight every day, what is that value for you?
Hmm. Oh,
I know, not an
make
easy
it
question.
hard. Hmm. Abundance,
Mhm,
maybe, especially now with wars right and left, and everyone is talking about scarcity. It's
mhm,
easy, and you see so much negativity all around. Can be easy to go into that mode of what's happening. But
mhm,
it's actually the opposite. The more you try to hold on something, you're gonna lose it, and the more slippery it becomes. But the moment you are not afraid and you start sharing and you connect, actually it's easier because we do live in a society, we do live in a community. We can't be isolated. So the more we switch from that mindset, things are happening.
mhm. I really love that because you already said that abundance before about like inviting other marketers to work with you to collaborate because you believe in that abundance, and it's like, and yet this is something you fight for every day, and I think it's beautiful. I'm totally with you in that. Okay, so the second one is like a time that you said no and it changed everything. You touched that a little bit at the beginning of our conversation, but maybe there is another example that is like, okay, I said no and it changed.
Maybe it's not necessarily saying no, a firm no, but what came to my mind when you asked that was more in relationship with setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Because before, I'm better now, but also with my old, so I moved here from Romania and I had a job at a company and I was always on. Like it doesn't matter the time, and I took that also when I started Spain. So a message from a client, even if it's 11 o'clock, and the client actually doesn't even expect me to answer, or not even a WhatsApp, like a mail, like it's in my inbox, can stay. I felt obliged to, no, no, no. I believe in giving everything to them and to be committed. And I still believe in that. So I
Mm-hmm.
was always answering. But then I realized that actually is not productive for me because it's not productive for them. It can wait. It can wait.
Surprise, surprise, right?
And guess what? Nothing is happening. And even it actually gets better because even if I know I'm gonna read it because that's me. Only if maybe I'm somewhere and I don't have, or sometimes I do put do not disturb and I'm between different hours. Like no one can reach me because I do need to recharge. Um, but the moment you see it and if you take a pause, you come up with a better answer actually. Because you're not reacting, but you're acting. You
Mm-hmm.
actually have time to process everything. So I'm applying that more and more and more. And of course, there will be moments, or if that's an urgency, that's different. But I think that will be a good example and will be an advice as well. Like,
Yeah, that's
take a
absolutely,
moment.
that's a good one. Especially when you said like, okay, it's going to be better answer because you're going to give a time and attention to it instead of just replying a rush somewhere in between meetings. And like for me, definitely the shift in running my own business was to set up dates that I don't have interaction with my clients in a way that I don't have sessions, that I don't do workshop. And those days are for me to work on my business, on myself. And that really is a huge shift because we think that, oh my God, if I don't respond, I might lose the client if I don't do this. But it's coming from that scarcity versus coming from that abundance, right?
Exactly.
So it is
Exactly. Thank you
manifesting
for
that
pointing
value.
that. And that's exactly that, because it's not coming based on values and how you want to show up. It's coming from a fear.
Yeah. And the last one, because we talk about the definition of success, what is your today definition of your success?
Very easy questions, I see.
I know we can have those conversations because you've done the work, you're self-aware, so I'm allowing myself to point at those questions.
Success for me is to be able to run my accelerators, to see the change, to run base conference, and to actually see people connecting, see business conducted, but conducting differently, right? Not going for the, I'm going to say vanity. And what I mean by that, I'm just going to work with that particular brand because it's so great and looks so good. But I'm going to work with someone that I know actually understands me and I can create something. That's success for me.
Mm. Yeah. So you are on a great path to be successful. You are successful. You're doing it. You're connecting people. You are bringing businesses to the another level in markets from a market perspective, and having those conversations with entrepreneurs to give them that boost of confidence to dare to ask for more, and that the way they want to do that.
It's
Uh,
not even there to ask, it's just do it.
mhm.
You don't need to ask permission, you just need to start acting.
I didn't mean by asking for permission, but it dare to ask and go for it. Like, okay, I
Yes.
want that. I want to work with that person. I want to do that. So
Take
that,
action.
yes, take action. And for everyone who is curious about what Veronica is doing and how you can actually be in her world, look at those links below the video. So you're going to have a link to that accelerator. You're going to have a link to the spin ideas and the base conference. So you have a mixture of offline and online way of connecting with other people who also building their businesses based on values, and that's so way easier to connect in those events.
We do aim to connect everyone with this least one person.
Mhm. Veronica, is there anything that you would like to just at one last moment say to the audience, to those business owners who are listening to us, or the people who think they wanna or they dream about having their own business?
Mm. Actually, first of all, I want to say thank you to you and your work because you're making this possible and you give a voice and you're just helping people to show up and do things differently. And my advice would be just try it. I'm not a big fan of um the Silicon Valley, just I can't even, it doesn't even come. Just fail
Yeah,
fast.
fail play. Mhm.
But it does have, I don't like the phrasing, but I do like the idea behind.
Mhm.
Just go and try. That's the whole thing. There's not failing, you're learning. So it's an experiment. So it's more go try, see the results, and grow from them. So
Mhm.
that will be my advice. Don't just start.
Mm.
Don't get stuck in the fear.
Beautiful. I absolutely echo that. Do not look at the abundance. Look from that what you already have and what you can offer to the world, because you already have enough, and you are enough to make that impact. And lean to others, ask for help,
Yeah,
uh, and just make a first step, and then you can build it from that. Yeah.
indeed.
Veronica, thank you so much. I know that you're running for
You.
another meeting, so I don't want to keep you any longer. But thank you for your time, for sharing your wisdom and your perspective on values. And probably that's not our last conversation. So see you in the next one. And thank you for the time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.